If you're watching this by rebroadcast, welcome to Sensational Sundays. We're here every Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I am always glad to bring our sanctuary. And I call it our sanctuary because this is my sanctuary. This is where I hang out. Some people call it a cave, but I don't like to call it a cave, but it's a library. It's the place where I've been learning and studying and crying and finding joy and passage of time and life and all those kind of things have been going on right here in this particular study. Places where I've learned to love people and people have loved on me. This is a wonderful place, but we get the opportunity of bringing this sanctuary into your home, where your space is. Your space is your sanctuary. And you never let people come into your sanctuary unless you allow them to. So thank you for allowing us. I'm Dr. Ed Montgomery, and I am the spiritual mentor, founder, and director of Abundant Life Center for Dynamic Living, and as pastor also of the Abundant Life Cathedral for, guess what? January begins our 40th year. I didn't say fourth, I said 40th year. And yes, when you put founder and 40th, it means I am of that age. And speaking of age, while you're clicking that like button and making your comments, and you can always keep making your comments, but also make sure you press that share button. And if you're watching by YouTube, smash, crash, mash that subscribe button so that you will get notifications to let you know when we actually come on. But speaking of age, somebody sent me this. I get cards for my birthday, and this happened to be one of the top 5 of them. Check this out. In a faraway galaxy, a long time ago, you were born. Somebody's really trying to be funny over there. But thank you so much. My birthday is tomorrow. It's not today, it's tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you my exact age, but let's put it to you this way. They're trying to plan my 70th birthday party somewhere in the very near future. But thank you to all of you. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's something I would like for you to do on that day. If it's, a nice little gesture, do this. I've re-released, I've put my book, which is called When Heaven is Silent. It deals with unanswered prayer. How do you deal with unanswered prayer and keeping unanswered prayer from causing your faith to falter or shift? And sometimes when we're dealing with all this COVID, I've updated it, gone through some things, rewritten some sections. And when you're dealing with COVID, when you're dealing with tragedy, when you're dealing with trauma, when you're dealing with hurt, broken hearts, broken pieces, broken lives, especially what we've dealt with in 2020, this is something you would want to be a part of. Here's what I need you to do. Tomorrow, we're in pre-release right now, but tomorrow, February 1st, it goes into, tomorrow. It goes into full bloom on Amazon, so you'll be able to get it and order it on Kindle. It's the Kindle version. Paperback version is already there, but order the Kindle version. And that way you can download the book immediately. What I need are reviews. I need you to say, oh, that's a pretty good book, Dr. Ed. Yeah. So I need at least 10 people, 10 9-876-54321, 10 people that will give me some reviews. I'd love to have 20, but I get 10. That's what Abraham asked for. If I can just find 10 righteous, give me 10 reviews. That would be wonderful, and I would really appreciate it. When Heaven is Silent, Dr. Ed Montgomery, just type it in and it'll pop up on Amazon or Kindle, however you get your books. And also let me say thank you to those of you who expressed love for this first year. Since the transition of our First Lady, I think when her birthday came up on the 27th of January, I said, I didn't say much of anything. I said, I'm sure people have forgotten, but what I found out, they said, Bastard, don't go on Facebook right now if you don't want to see all the pictures and videos and things of that sort, because they have not forgotten Sandra Lane Montgomery, First Lady of ALC, Abundant Life Center, Abundant Life Cathedral. They have not forgotten your wife. They have not forgotten the mother of your children. And so I want to say thank you to those of you who remembered her birthday on January 27th. I know we got Mother's Day and them kind of days coming up, and I said we'll just celebrate it this first year until the first anniversary of her passing. So thank you for what you've done. I really appreciate it. Also, don't forget, this coming Monday, I do a radio show here in the city of Houston, but it goes across the United States. It's global. I'm doing a special for 1 month. We're dealing with something the station has asked me to do, Black spirituality, the evolution of Black spirituality. And this is a tough kind of little project to deal with, because we're going from the continent of Africa all the way to what's going on in our world today with Christianity, evangelicalism, and all these kind of things. So join me Mondays, and wherever you're watching this, Mondays, KTSU 90.9 FM, Houston, Texas, from 12 noon Central Standard Time to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. You'll be able to hear it globally and catch those things. I'm going to be talking history tomorrow, the history of Black spirituality. What happened on the boat? Was Kunta Kinte only a Muslim, or were they Christians, or whatever? You don't want to miss this. Catch it. Check out our internet, edmontgomery.net or myalc.org. It'll tell you more about it. Listen, I'm in this series, and the series is called my Masterpiece series. And something hit a few weeks ago. And what it's saying is that, are we waiting on God to do something for me to make me what I am, to make me better? Or is there something else to this? Or have we been better all along? Here is what the premise that I'm coming from. That from the day you were in the mind of God, you were a masterpiece in the mind of God before you were ever born. If we believe our souls go back to God, then, and our souls are eternal, then eternity doesn't go one way. Eternity goes backwards and forwards as well as forward. It's where it goes backwards and forwards as well as forwards and on into the future. Eternity is that. We are in the mind of God. God knows the power of God, the power of the creator of the universe, knows our masterpiece setting. He knows what we look like. He knows an outcome. He knows it never ends. What kind of masterpiece do you look like? We know what masterpieces are, especially in human artists. It's like Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. People say, well, who is she? What was she? They don't particularly care too much. It's the fact that it's been one of those masterpieces that people have stared at. It's supposed to be her suggestive smile. And not only that, but you're also dealing with Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, where you look up and you see all of these different frescoes and various works of art that have been heralded throughout the centuries. But the bottom line is, when you ask an artist, what do you see? And you look at a blank canvas. This is what I believe happens when we are born. It is our lives are blank canvases. We are a blank canvas. But the masterpiece, the Mona Lisa, the Sistine Chapel, the beauty, whatever it is we are to be, I believe is in the mind of God. And it will take a lifetime to paint that masterpiece. So don't you give up. Don't you give in. Your masterpiece is not done, and you tell those people around you, my masterpiece is not finished. Tell them keep watching, because something is going to change. Now, last week, number one was you are a masterpiece in the mind of God. And today, part two, we're going to call it revealing the masterpiece. Don't you go anywhere. Don't deviate. Well, I'm going to scroll for a little while. I'm going to come back and catch it. No, because I'm going to start throwing it out at you right in the beginning. There are three things. Now, three things that may sound boring to you at first, but you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring these things up to date. And it's something that Jesus mentions, and he mentions it in John chapter 10. You can look for it in John chapter 10. That's going to be the base. There are two base passages or ancient texts in this: Genesis chapter 1 and John chapter 10. Genesis chapter 1, John chapter 10. And people are saying, well, what verse is it? Well, I know that most, as teachers and preachers, what we do is we say chapter 10 and verse 6, or however we do it. But what I want you to do is start learning to read and to look for these passages. Well, there's a long chapter. Listen, I promise you it's not long. And then at least you'll be able to get the content for it, the context for this. So Genesis 1, John chapter 10. And in John chapter 10, there are three things that Jesus mentions. And he makes the statement. He opens it up talking about thieves coming to rob, to kill, to steal things. And I'm going to show you three things that are going to be so important in this day and time. But Genesis 1 gives us this understanding about revealing the masterpiece. You are a masterpiece in the mind of God. You say, but I don't see it. I look in the mirror. I don't see it. If you look at me at home, I don't see it. As a matter of fact, some of the people I know tell me, you're not worth 2 cents. How in the world could I see myself as a masterpiece? Well, you are a masterpiece. What happens is you have to have it revealed. And here is this, what it says. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth was without form. Now, you have to understand, we're dealing with a document over 3,000 years old. So I'm quite sure the people didn't think of heaven and earth and the planets and the stars back then the way we think of them now. We look up and we see the planets, and we're looking for the convergence of Jupiter and Saturn, and we realize that the earth goes around the sun, and the sun is even moving inside of the galaxy, and that our planet sits right on the tip of our galaxy, and 400 billion, was it 400 million, I believe, planets that are inside of our galaxy. Is either 400 billion, 400 million. They're inside of our galaxy, and we're sitting right on the edge, the cusp of the wisp of the Milky Way galaxy. And then there are 400 million galaxies. Oh my goodness, it's just crazy. So what we understand life and universe things a lot different than they did 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, here's how they looked at the life. They looked at the earth, which was not round, but flat. Secondly, they saw it as if a dome was over it. And then they saw the waters, which were in the seas and the rivers. But then when they saw the sky was blue, they believed that the waters were on top of this dome, and when it rained, the waters would come down because the waters were blue and the seas were blue, so the waters were at the top. So earth was under a dome, and then that over that was space or darkness or whatever, and this is where all the demons and the angels lived, and right above that is where God's throne was. Remember now, 3,000 years ago, It was thrones and footstools. That's why it says God was there and the earth is his footstool. And this is how they thought. So when you understand that, we are quantum physics people, quantum cosmology. I was going to say cosmetology. We're cosmetology too, but here, but cosmic people. When we look at Genesis chapter 1 and we hear it, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form, without shape, darkness, this not completely in order. Thirdly, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And then it says, and God said, let there be a firmament. Here's the firmament. Here's the dome. The dome is the firmament. And then God said, let the firmament separate the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which are above it. See? In other words, the water is where the rain's going to come down. But then it makes a statement when he gets further down in the scriptures, a few verses down. And he says, let the seas gather together. Let the waters, the seas come together, and let the dry land appear. Let the seas come together. So what it tells us, and this is what caught my attention. If the seas come together, what happened was it's like the tide going back out. It's like being on a beach and you see the water's filling the beach, but when the tide goes back out, you see the beach. And then if the tide comes in, it comes up, washes the sand away and leaves the sand nice and pristine and flat. But if the waters go back, it leaves land. You see land. Now, what it tells us is even though when you got there, all you saw was water, when the tide went back out, it showed you land, which tells you that the land was already there. It was just under the water. If you want to see the land, wait till the water recedes. So it says that the earth appeared, dry land appeared. So it doesn't mean that God said, bling, abracadabra, and dry land. Here comes the dry land. It means that when the waters went down, the dry land appeared. After the flood, even with Noah, it says the waters receded, they found the ark. They said the ark landed on top of the mountain. Well, when the waters were so all over the place, it looked like the whole planet was filled with water. The ark was floating, but when the waters receded, the ark was on top of a mountain, which means the mountain was already there. It was just under the water. What I'm saying is, it's just like your life. It's just like my life. We have a masterpiece. There's a masterpiece. Our lives are masterpieces. What's happening is it has to be revealed. We got a bunch of junk covering our lives. I'm quite sure that you got probably less junk than I do, but we got a bunch of junk in the form of how we think, how we see. The kind of information that's come from other people coming at us, telling us this and that. Come on. And we can't see the masterpiece that we are. And we're concerned about what others are taking from us, how our lives are never going to be fulfilled because people who are other than us are taking from us. This is what's going on in your country right now. And so John chapter 10 is what Jesus says something to his disciples, his followers, his learners under discipline. That's what disciples mean. And he says to them, he says, my interaction with you is going to cause you to be saved, cause you to go in and out, and cause you to find pasture. Don't turn me off. I know you don't, who's saved? Everybody has a concept. Go in and out of what? And thirdly, find pasture. We mean find pasture. What are you supposed to do? If find pasture, that means as sheep, they're supposed to find grass and what is it? My point is this. I'm going to update your words. Wholeness. Function, learning from that wholeness to function in the world, business, relationship, life, your friendships, when things are not going well. healing broken heart. How do you function? Building in the midst of a pandemic. How do you build? Thirdly, finding resources, functioning, learning how to discover the resources you have, to take what you have, use what you have, and create more than you have. Oh, okay. Jesus is speaking these things. These are things. There are things. It's a parable. And a parable means there are life answers in things. And it says, and Jesus spoke these things to them, to his disciples. And what it is, and his disciples said, we don't, that's what I told you last week. They looked at each other like, clueless. Duh. What did he say? What do you mean? Jesus, help him, Jesus. Well, no, I am Jesus, so I guess I got to help him. And it says, and Jesus realized that they did not understand the things that were beneath the story. You actually can read this. So he said it another way. He said, thieves are going to come. You're like sheep, like lamb chops. Thieves are going to come, cut you up, eat your lamb chops. You're going to be gone. He says, but I am come that you might have life. Go back next week and I explain a little bit of that. What I want to talk about are about three things. Jesus says there are things that for the world that we live in, that it's good to have, good to know. Number one, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. In other words, actually it's 5 things, but it's 2 things to be connected with, 3 things to understand about life. 2 to be connected with, 3 things to understand. It's 5 good things. 5 is the number of grace. Here we are, going into, in just a few weeks, a 1-year anniversary of shutting down and dealing with this COVID. How are we going to come through this thing? How are we going to deal with this thing? How are we going to deal with this thing? It's going to be interesting. How many of you are just taking those deep breaths and saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? What kind of business am I going to be in? The job, do I still have the same job? Am I going to have a different job? They're getting ready to open up the schools. How am I going to navigate this whole school system thing? What about my children? I know you're ready for your children to go back to school because, and don't think, well, it was all bad. They're all behind. That's what they're telling them. They're all behind. Here's how we navigate this thing. Jesus is the good shepherd. So what that means is he is the one, it says he calls the sheep by name. He knows them. In other words, he knows who we are. God, see, Christ, it's knowing who we are. That's what anointed means. He calls them by name. In other words, he calls their character. God speaks to us through who we are. God speaks to us and he reveals to us constantly, daily, who you are. That's why one of your meditation questions when you're in meditation in the morning, you're asking a question or just making the statement, reveal who I am. Reveal me. Reveal things to me. That's what you can, God. You don't have to always ask God, what is this about? You can do it if you want to, but the answers are there because Christ is within. And you're asking, reveal to me my next step. Reveal to me. Some of you are impatient. My next 3 steps. Just stay with 1 step. Reveal to me this next step I'm going to take. I've got to choose a road. Reveal that word, that road. So this is what Christ is. Christ is word. Jesus says, I'm the shepherd. Shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not lack. So therefore, what the shepherd has are words that keeps us from lacking. The goal of the word is intent. It is a plan to keep us from lacking. So that's the first thing. The second thing you'll find out, Jesus says, he says that there is a gatekeeper, a porter. And Jesus kind of connects with the porter. He says, hey, we in business together. We understand. He's a porter. And the porter opens the gate and closes the gate. This is a spiritual mentor. This is a person that you can be discipled by, be discipled with, somebody to help you understand your spiritual life. And let me tell you something. It is going to be so important right now that you know about who you're going to allow to connect yourself to be a spiritual mentor. It's not the same world we're living in. I don't even want to get, and I would talk about it with you. I would talk about certain things with you. I would talk to you about the mindset and the process of white supremacists. I would talk to you about this whole thing that's going on in Congress, about QAnon, and about how it's not just out there in the streets. Baby, let me tell you something. It ain't just out there in the street. You know it's not. It's not just out there in the underbelly of the corners of the streets, the white supremacists and the QAnon. No, we're finding out these things are in society. They are in the boardroom. They are in the courtroom. This kind of thinking is in Congress. That's what they're fighting about now. They're discovering this kind of thinking is everywhere. You're not just going to go out there and get a broom and sweep all this out. We all stand there and praise the Lord, because this kind of thinking was instigated even from the church. Not everybody in the church, but from some within the church. It is believed 75% of churches, what is considered to be called white Christianity, that this kind of thinking is there. I'm sharing with many people. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white. I tell people, I said, ask me the question, do white lives matter? And they'll say, I said, go ahead and ask me, do white lives matter? I say, yes. See how easy that flowed off my tongue? See, that's how easy it'll flow off your tongue. Do white lives matter? Yes. Do Vietnamese lives matter? Yes. Do Mexican lives matter? Yes. Latino lives matter? Yes. Do black lives matter? Yes. Now, see how easy that flows? But if you really want to know if you're in a church that is predominantly led or predominantly white led, ask the question of its leadership, or even some of the people up there. Do black lives matter? There's only one answer. The answer I just gave you. Someone should say yes. What the answer should not be is, well, I believe all lives matter. That answer right there is not the good answer. Now, they don't have to believe in Black Lives Matter organization. They may even tell you that. But they should follow up and say, but I believe Black Lives Matter. And they shouldn't ask, well, I believe blue lives matter. I believe all lives matter. That's not the issue. See, I didn't add, oh, I believe white lives matter, but I believe all lives matter. I didn't add that. This is what you should be asking. If you ask that question and you don't get that satisfactory answer, yes, I believe Black Lives Matter, and even to be able to say it. If you don't get that answer, you might need to move on. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you might need to move on, because there are theological issues. There are African-American pastors and scholars and people who have been in many of these churches for years that are beginning to move on because they have to heal. They have to heal. And especially if you're dumping your children off into their youth ministry, you have no idea what's being taught in youth ministry, what they call critical race theory. All these kind of things are going on right now. You have to keep the mindset of safe. That's what we call the porter opening the door. This is what I'm being right now, a porter. I'm just being a doorkeeper and telling you this is what's happening and this is what's not. Let me open this up to you and show you this for your mind so you can think and make a consideration. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm laying it out for your consideration so you can make a clear and informed and intelligent decision. Not finding value in the color of someone's skin or in the largeness of ministry or the smallness of ministry, but finding value in what you're after. This is a time to discover who you are. That's what the door of the porter is. And even in pastors of color, ethnic, our goal is to begin to be able to teach our people to get some of the fluff. We got to get back down to some rock bottom stuff. Not necessarily the basics, but we got to begin to uncover some things that's going to show them their masterpiece. So here's the three things. Number one, we call it saved. What I call saved, saved is not just walking down the aisle and saying, oh, give the preacher your hand and give God your heart. Saved is not just shaking your hand and getting the right hand of fellowship, my brother. Saved is not just being able to go down and have a good feeling inside of you and shout hallelujah and say, all right, now go back and I'll see you at church next Sunday. That's not saved. And saved means, well, now it means that if you die, you won't go to hell, but you're going to go back to Jesus. You're going to go to heaven. Oh boy, I feel a whole lot better. Well, what's going to happen after you live a little bit longer? You realize, hey, I'm not dying, don't seem to be dying anytime soon. So heaven and hell doesn't seem that important. Oh, Pastor Ed Montgomery, Dr. Ed Montgomery, don't you believe in hell? Hey, I see hell every single day. I believe in hell I believe in hell. I see people going through hell. I see folk going through hell in their finance. I see folk going through hell in their physical bodies, folk going through hell mentally, folk going through hell relationship wise. They're in a home, beautiful house, beautiful cars, beautiful driveways, and still dealing with hell. And not only that, I see some folk who are still full of heck. Hellman mayonnaise. Yeah, they full of it. Of the mayonnaise. Yeah. And heaven, when we understand heaven, I wrote a book on heaven in your heart, because heaven, when we pass away and transition, I need to go to heaven. No, you need to go back to God, because God is in heaven. Heaven is in God. This is where we come from. We come from God. We understand all of that understanding. Salvation, being saved, means to be whole. It means to complete. The saving means, I want my soul saved. What does it mean to have the saving of the soul? Saving of your soul. In your soul is your mind. In your soul is your intent. In your soul is your personality. In your soul is your sense of eternity. If your mind is whacked, if your intent your intent's gonna be whack. Your personality gonna be whack. So you got to get your mind straight. How we think about ourselves. And one of the most important things about how we think about ourselves is what we're constantly looking at every day when we wake up. Listen, I promise you, one thing I've learned, I'm checking my numbers, so I get carried away on this. One of the things I've learned, and that is I have to be extremely careful. It's like driving a car. What are you going to look at? Are you going to look in front of you in that windshield while you're driving on that highway? Or are you going to keep looking in that mirror, that rear view mirror, or those side view mirrors? That rear view mirror, what do? You glance up at it and keep your eyes on the front of that windshield. You glance up at it to see what's coming up behind you. You glance to the side if you're getting ready to change lanes. But you don't gaze at it. You don't just look at it, the rear view mirror, because you'll run into a truck or something. The past is designed for you to glance at it, to just take a look back, to remember things. Who loved you, how you felt loved. Childhood memories. You glance back at it. Not to dwell on the hurts and the pains that just took you through. But you have to realize, don't throw away your past. People will say, don't ever look at your past. No, the past can be looked at. That's why you got a rear view mirror. That's why you got side view mirrors. You can look at, and then side view mirrors are for other people to help you look at your past. What do you mean? Your rear view mirror is for you to look at your past. The side view mirrors are for your passengers and your friends to help you look at your past. Why? Because they look at your past from a different angle. See, sometimes we can romanticize our past and think somebody beat us up every day for 6 months. And then we remember, oh, but they really love me. Yeah, but they beat the heck out of you. Now, so your friends are able to say, don't you forget that. See, they're looking at things from a different angle. They don't want you to get so consumed with your past that you start thinking everything was wonderful when it wasn't. Glance at it, but keep your eyes ahead. Salvation is about the wholeness of your abundance, the wholeness of your health, the wholeness of your mind, the wholeness of your sense of eternity, the wholeness of your intent. The second thing Jesus said, he said the sheep are going to do, they're going to go in and out. Notice it didn't say that I'm going to bring them in and out. It said the sheep are going to go in and out. In other words, the porter's going to open the gate and sheep go in and out. Sheep are like us. I'm not a sheep. You're not a sheep. But that's all they could explain. I couldn't understand why Jesus didn't use chickens. Why didn't Jesus use llamas or, or tigers or what? I don't know. But I guess he used sheep because that's what they did back then. It says they went in and out. And I asked myself the question, what do you mean went in and out? They had choices. They went in and they went out. There was nobody, just opened the gate. Nobody should be locking you up in church. You don't go to church, you're going to hell. This is not, right now, the scriptures talks about, we've heard the phrase, we're in the world, but not of the world, which means we are constantly going into the world, but yet we don't remain of it. Our mindset is different. How we're dealing with this whole insurrection thing and the people that are around us, it can be scary. People walking around with open carry guns and white supremacy and everybody talking about we're going to take the government back and make America great again. And when was America great again? Back in the 50s, you mean when people of color could not vote? Come on. So we have to learn how to be in it, how to function in corporate America, how to function in the school system, how to function among people we've just watched them drive a Trump sign into their front lawn. And we know where they're coming from. Do we talk to them? Do we not talk to them? Do they bring, and sometimes don't even realize you're not for Trump? Look at me. Well, I thought maybe everybody was for Trump because, we want a smaller America. We want to go back to where America was. What was your experience? But what is my experience? It's going in and out. This is what salvation is. It is the flow of abundance. Salvation is not just wholeness, but it's flow. It's going in and out. It's understanding our ability to work with people around us. You got to work with folk of all colors, of all backgrounds, of all thinking. Listen, you're going to be working with QAnon folk. You're going to be working with white supremacists. You're going to be working, we've been working with folk for years. You're going to be working even with black people who don't like their own people. You're going to work with people, but you have to know how to use the wholeness of Christ in your life. To know what battles you're going to fight, what battles you're going to leave alone. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle those kind of things? And then thirdly, while you're going in and out, you've got to find pasture. Find pasture. What do you mean? And I thought about it, and I thought about the sheep. And if I was 2,000 years ago in Jesus' time, I would have said, you got to learn how to find good grass. You got to learn how to find the best kind of grass you can eat. You got to learn how to find the best kind of grass. And I thought about what I was getting ready to say. And I come from the era of the 60s and the 70s. So I better not talk about good grass. I'm talking about the grass you eat. Why did I go down that rabbit hole? Look, I'm going to tell you about how to find resources, because that's what finding pasture is resources. And I'm going to tell you about it as soon as I come back. This is my last point. As soon as I come right back up, watch this, and don't go anywhere. Don't even deviate. It's not going to take long. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. Be right back. Hey, this is Dr. Ed. We've been on this journey for over 40 years. Some have been there with us for almost 40. Some have just started this journey with us. But what we've been able to do is help people to find joy, peace, enlightenment. They have grown tremendously, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and it's all because of your contributions, your help, our journey on this road. Take a moment, make a contribution at myalc.org. That's myalc.org. That's our website. That's our main place where you're even able to watch our show on Sunday mornings. Not only that, but you can also give through our app. And you can download that app from Google Play, or you can download it from the App Store by just typing in Abundant Life Center, or you can type in Ed Montgomery and the Abundant Life Center app will pop up and you can download it. It only takes a few moments, and you can have that way. You can carry us with you on your phone and your iPads and all those kind of good things. Not only that, but you can also do text to give. That's very popular because people are able to give if they forget to be on their, website or their app. They can just give right on the spot, real fast, real quick. Sometimes they do text to give even when we're inside of a church service. And you can do that by texting to 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. Or you could give through our P.O. Box. Safe, sound, secure. You can give, you can make sure you put a stamp on the envelope, but you can, write us a little note, drop me a little note, whatever you want to do, and mail it. There are some folk that's just, hey, I'm just going to mail this. And you can mail your contribution, and that's to the Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. I'm going to say it again. That's that old radio thing. You got to say it twice. Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Continue on this journey with us. And if you're new for the first time, start this journey with us. I promise you, not only will it change your life, but you'll change the life of so many around you. And that'll make you feel real good inside. Thanks. All right. It's time to find some resources. What kind of job are you going to be? Where are you going to go? What is going to be your next business enterprise? What's going to happen in your life that's going to make you feel better about what you're doing? We look around, we've been pulling our hairs out. Got a few more gray hairs. But Jesus says something. He says, the wholeness of the soul. You learn how to live in the world, but yet not of it, to keep your mind while you're in it. And thirdly, you will find resources. You will find resources. You will find resources. How do you find resources? You realize, after a while, you realize what you want. Sometimes you may not know what you want, but you ask God, what is it that I need? What do I really need here? And as things become, is revealed to you, you begin to realize, there it is. And that's when you'll discover what it is you want. It's what wants you. This is what I've come to understand. People are talking about, what are we going to do about church? And I talk with pastors all the time, leaders all the time. And I said, if you're looking for that next big mega church and thousands of people to come in, that's not your goal. If that happens for you, fine. But, I'm not ready for people to sit up like this, in church, and sit up there like this and look around, hopefully waiting to get out because they're going to already and holding their breath because they don't want to breathe in COVID. No, that's not what it is. It's not about the quantity of people. It's about the quality. I said, listen, we've got people who care about what we are, who care about touching the lives of other people, not only in their city, but in other cities and other states. That's why they give. Most people don't realize that the goal of our ministry, it's in our corporate bylaws and everything else, is what is called the promulgation of the gospel. Is, in other words, we're to take the good news to lift the lives of other people, to build the people who shape the world. You don't make America great again. You build the people who build America. If you don't build right, if you don't help people build their lives right, you're going to have a crazy, crooked country. So you have to have people right. You've got to, right now, right now there needs to be repentance. Right now there needs to be a changing of mindsets. Now, I don't see that coming too quickly right now in some sections of our country. But that doesn't mean you can't get it right. Other churches, other congregations, they have to do their thing. ALC, we got to do our thing. What did we always learn? Build our own platforms. Do our own things. And as we build our own platforms and go internally, build strong, build solid, build great, build ourselves up. Now is the time to build ourselves up in understanding the wholeness of our soul, to understand how to mentally and have good, solid intention to go out, to be in the world, but yet not be of it, not let it taint us. To know how to be able to come in and wipe that Lysol and spray ourselves. And then thirdly, be able to realize we have to find resources, discover who we are, understand who we are, so that what we want wants us. Look for what wants us. Don't waste your time looking for what don't want you. Look. As we go into this month, what we call Black History Month, this is where we reflect. See, we look into the rearview mirror just for a little while to remember where we came from. That's why you don't need to be looking back in all that slavery. You need to realize where you came from. Many of you have touched somebody who's touched enslaved people. You are standing on the shoulders of ancestors. Someone was telling me as they said, you know, your first lady, Sandra, she's now in the arms of the Lord and standing as an elder with the ancestors. I said, wow, that's a nice way to look at it, a nice way to think about it. These are all part of our lives. Epigenetics teaches us it's all a part of our lives. Look, I am praying for you constantly. But you gotta find pasture. You have to find your resources. You gotta open your eyes and begin to look at what's around you. Wear your mask, do your social distancing. Look, I'm not gonna keep pushing you, and be careful where you go. If you walk into a church and everybody rips their mask off and that Jesus is going to help me, just tell Jesus, help me to get out of here. Because you got to find a place who cares as much about you as you care about other things. Listen, my time is moving up, but thank you so much, ALC, for what you do. Abundant Life Center, Abundant Life Cathedral. One of the things that I'm asking people from wherever you are, if you've been a member of our church, if you've connected with us over the years, let me tell you something. This is still home to you. I want you to think about something. I want you to think about being a part of home again. What do you mean? I'll always come home. No, I want you to think about being a financial part of home. Whatever it is you want to sow. Take a moment. You can use your cell phone. You can use that. And you can make a gift. 713-742-2035. It's all over the broadcast. You can do it. But if you used to be a part of ALC, when you do it, we still got your old record. It'll pop back up. You'll be right back. I want to begin to build a network, an A-list that we can build back strong. to help each other in business, to help each other in with our children, with our youth. And all this, I don't have time. I'm running out of time. I want to talk about it more, and I'll write more to you. But keep us strong. Keep ALC strong. Givers, tithers, keep it strong. Now is the time. Look, I got to go. I love you so much. I shall not die, but live to declare the works of the Lord. For he has come that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you. You're so precious. Getting young every day. Vintage matters.